What's going on, guys? Blake Hawthorn, Itshisturf. Tonight we're going to be talking about demo, prep, and excavation for a hardscape project. Alright guys, welcome to a Friday Night Hardscapes. Last week we were looking at the layout and design of a hardscape project. Tonight is part 2, and we're going to be jumping into the excavation, prep and demo, setting grade, laying that whole thing out. If you haven't checked out that other video, be sure and go back, check out part 1, then come back, check out part 2, and continue going through the series with us. All right, guys, so to pick up where we left off last week, before we actually even start the excavation, what we'll do is we will do the final changes with the customer, kind of go out. On this project specifically, the customer wanted to add some curves and some flares to it, and so that's what we did. We moved the flower bed from against the seawall over to the side of the property. We added some nice curves to that outside edge of the patio, and then we just flared some of the other hard corners just to soften everything up. After the customer signed off on this is when we made our final changes to our contract and our payment schedule. So after we have the customer's signature, everything's ready to go. Now we can actually start the demo. All right, so for this project, I wanted to try and save the sod, so we went and got a sod cutter. We got the whole yard cut out. Unfortunately, this sod cutter didn't have as much penetration as the last sod cutter we had did, and so really we just scalped this property. This process is actually a pretty long process going this route, but it allows us to get all of the grass out of there, roots and all, so we get down to the dirt and start excavating everything out. All right, so as we're demoing out all the grass, what I want to do is I'll pull some flags, I'll mark out the splash pad, I'll mark out the kitchen, and I'll mark out that step up between the two patios. That way, once all the sod's removed, I can paint these things back out and we know where to start excavating. All right, so once the grass is demoed out, that's when we'll start our excavation. This is going to be excavating for like what we call rough grade. So we pull out the laser, we throw it onto the seawall, and we'll pull some measurements just real quick, kind of figure out how much we are going to be excavating down. After that, we just literally just start digging, piling it up, and start moving the dirt, trying to get it out of there, trying to get things close. Once we start to get everything close, that's when we'll pull the laser back out. We'll set it up and we'll start marking, dig down 2 inches here, 3 inches there, 4 inches there, 5 inches there, so on and so forth. So that way we can start to get towards our final grade. All right, so don't get me wrong, everything's fun at this part of the process. We're demoing dirt out, we're making a big pile, and then reality's gonna hit. So we have to start hauling this dirt off. All right, guys, so once we start excavating everything out, there becomes one dilemma, and that's the large pile of dirt that we start to create. We then have to start to haul these things out of there. So we have to haul the grass out, get that out in our dump truck, and then the next thing we move on to is getting this dirt hauled out of there. Unfortunately, this is a very, very slow process with using our SK752 ditch witch, moving it from the backyard over into the dump truck and hauling it out. We're only able to haul between 6 and 7 yards, and it takes an estimated 2 hours per load from moving it from the pile in the backyard to the front yard and loading it and then hauling it back here. About an hour to get it to our shop, get unloaded, and get back over there. So on the day of hauling this dirt out, it takes all day just to get 3 loads out of there. This project and the excavating and all has between 5 and 6 loads of dirt. All right, so once everything starts to get really close in grade, what we'll do is we'll set this transit back up. The great thing about a laser transit is you can set it up in an area that's relatively level, starts to spin and shoots out a laser, and then you set your transit end up on either a 2x4 or a grade rod. And the great thing about a 2x4 is I can literally write down measurements on that as we go, 4 inches below seawall, so on and so forth. So just kind of some notes that I know where my marks are, where I can just move my transit and check my grade. And so that's what we start to do now. We're checking the level of the lower patio to the upper patio, and we're laying out how many step ups we're gonna have in between. So on this project, guys, we have 20 inches of grade change from the level of the lower patio, which is the same as the seawall, to the level of the upper patio, which is the same as that landing at the bottom of the stairs. What this means, guys, is that we will actually have to do 3 steps. So it's gonna be 2 actual steps and a 3rd step up onto the patio. Each of these are gonna be just over 6 3/4 of an inch each. So once we have the steps laid out, we know how much our elevation is going to be on both of those patios. We go through and we start marking some areas out, and then we continue excavation until we get everything to what we call final grade. We need everything to get to final grade before we start to put the utilities in. Guys, that's where we're gonna pick up next week. We're gonna be jumping into setting in the utilities, doing some of the plumbing, and just getting everything form set, ready to pour. All right, guys, I hope that you found tonight's video helpful. One thing to definitely keep in mind when you go to bid your next project is, one, to bring that laser out, check your grade before you start, so that way you can kind of calculate how much dirt you're gonna be hauling out of there, and then know how long it's gonna take you to get the dirt from that backyard to your dump truck, haul it off, etc. It's not something that I think you can haul by the yard. It's something you're gonna have to more charge by the hour and by per load. So that's how you need to figure it in on your bid to make sure that you cover yourself. All right, guys, I hope you enjoyed tonight's video. Just remember, things got to get really dirty and really messed up before we can make them pretty. So this is kind of the grit before all of the glam and the fun stuff. So I hope you enjoyed tonight's video. Please leave a comment down below. Be sure and tune in next week where we pick up on the utilities, plumbing, and setting our forms. How do we start the last one? Welcome, guys, to Friday Night Hardscape.
Yeah, we just use this.
All right, ready? Here we go. Yeah! What's going on, guys? Blake Hawthorn, Itshisturf. Tonight, we're gonna be jumping into the prep, demo, and excavation of a hardscape project.
Demo, prep.
That's what you said, so it just stuck in my head. Jeremy, he's been hitting the gym. Jeremy had to get out of the scene.